welcome. I just want to say I am so excited about our conversation today. I'm Lauren Fogelman with Business Success Solution, and I just want to welcome you to this conversation. Christian, can you share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I can. I'm Christian Eldringhoff. I have been a bookkeeper now for probably, oh my gosh, longer than I can remember, at least 15 years. Prior to that, corporate controller and public accounting after my accounting degree in college. But the clients that I support primarily are cost accounting, project accounting for construction clients, government contractors, other small businesses. And so that's kind of my client base.
And one of the things that I love to dig into is really before we started talking and working together, what were things like before then?
They were much sadder. I think for a couple of years, I'd been very frustrated with the effort I was putting into my business. I'm a one-person shop at this point. And I felt like I was giving it 110% for all of my clients. And I felt like I was billing after the fact. I was having to chase money. I was spending a lot of administrative time on timesheets and where my time was going. I also felt like I was doing a lot of random acts of consulting, not really concrete engagement letters with many of my clients. They loved me. They would just use me when they wanted to use me. So there was a lot of things that I feel were broken about my business. I love what I do. I love serving my clients. I love accounting. I love QuickBooks. But I felt like there were a lot of very disjointed activities that I was doing.
And part of what you're mentioning, I think, is so common for firm owners, especially in the beginning. And then sometimes it continues to stay that way, where you are so client-centered. You care so much about your clients, and you do more than what you're probably getting paid for. There's things where they're reaching out for you for questions, and you just happily want to give them the solutions, but it never shows up on an invoice. Is that part of what was happening for you too?
Oh my gosh, you totally hit the nail on the head. I was giving away so many of my services for free. Mm-hmm. When I would start talking to a new client, I would get so excited about everything I potentially could do. We'd look at their books. I'd make suggestions. I'd already have, a way to solve so many of their problems. And that was all for free. That was in the first half an hour of our discussions. And I would never bill for it. And so that was a lot of my time and expertise and energy that I was not getting rewarded for. And so that was that part of my mindset shift and my kind of boundaries with my clients and onboarding new clients. That has changed radically, I would say, in the last 6 or 8 months. And that's probably one of the biggest benefits probably to working with you, Lauren, is to really understanding from the very beginning, to really understand my value and what clients are willing to pay for. And so that has made a huge difference in I think how I come across to my clients, and a professionalism about what I do, and that they are always going to pay for my services up front. Right. That's a really good benchmark to set at the beginning.
And I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So I feel that as business owners, we're so busy serving our clients and doing the things to really keep our business being operational, but we eventually hit a tolerance point where things just can't keep on going the way that they are any longer. And what do you feel that breaking point was for you, where you were ready to reach out and look for solutions?
Well, it's interesting because I always like to take time once a quarter to do, continuing education, look at webinars, those kinds of things. So I do that once a quarter. I was lucky enough to get on a webinar that you had offered. It was a 1 hour, and I'm trying to remember the exact topic that it was, but but something clicked inside me. I'd been very frustrated. And that particular day, I was actually not going to do the webinar because I had clients that had so many needs. And, but something told me, no, make the time for this, be 100% present, get what you can out of the seminar and move on. But I think there were so many things that just hit those raw nerves about what I was experiencing, the pain points that I was experiencing. And, you know, coming out of COVID, I think affected a lot of my clients, but it also affected my business. We were trying so desperately to provide you know, consulting for clients, whether it was PPP, EIDL loans, all of this really time intensive and labor intensive work that we're trying to figure out as we went, that I never billed my clients for. You know, it was just, I was trying to get them money. Well, looking back after I really evaluated, I lost so much time and so much money through that entire process. So kind of getting back into the groove of what my business is, what my core functions are, what value I bring to my clients, and what my clients are paying me for. That all kind of happened at the same time. And I will just say that talking about, like, one of the things that we talked about in that webinar was mindset, boundaries, you know, how you're viewing yourself and how you are presenting to clients. And like that just kind of, it just kind of overcame me because I think I was doing that in my professional life, but I think a lot of that I was also doing in my personal life. And the more I'm changing as a business owner and really getting control of that side of my life, I feel like that, you know, that carries over into other areas of my life. So I think the timing was just so dead on when we first met.
And I really appreciate that because the fact that you had a problem, you were able to nail it and you saw a solution, you acted on it. I really want to commend you on. But I think it also brings to the point that the thought of raising your fees, which is a big part of what we've done together, is something that doesn't happen. Oh, I think about it on tonight and then I do it tomorrow. It's on your mind for a while. So how long were you thinking about raising your clients' fees before you actually decided to move forward and fix that?
Oh, wow. I mean, I truly think I've been thinking of it for years. But I was kind of paralyzed. You know, you don't want to outprice yourself. You worry that your clients are going to resist, that they're going to have objections. You're trying to justify all these different, like in your mind, you're spending so much time and energy, and then you kind of just, you know, oh, here's another month of billing. Here you go. So it was kind of the path of least resistance, and it's something you get comfortable with. You're not happy with it, but it's a known. Your clients are used to it. You're used to it. But so you know, you brought up that it takes time to do it. However, when you do it with just one client, or you do it with a new client, that changes everything. Because I was feeling very resentful of my clients, resentful of the time I was spending, that I hadn't raised rates in so long. I never wanted to raise rates on my clients. And that was a big part of my problem. I had clients for 10 years that maybe I had raised one time. So that to me has become intolerable, especially as I bring new clients in, which it's very easy to bring clients in at a higher rate. You know, you're not explaining yourself to them. You're just saying, this is how it is. I would love to work with you. Sign here. Get out your credit card, which is terrific, but it makes it also less tolerable to continue to work with the clients you've been working with when you're not getting paid nearly what your new clients value you at.
I think that it's very true about feeling resentful, where you're working a lot and you're getting low paid, paid low for the amount of work that you're doing. And especially when you see the difference that your work makes for your clients and they don't even recognize or appreciate it. So I can understand the resentfulness. I feel that it's actually a sign of burnout and that you're working too many hours for too little pay. But the other thing I think you brought up, and I really want to highlight that point, is that even if you do raise your rates, what typically happens is you bring your new clients in at that rate because they don't know you. There's no pushback or anything like that. Whereas you have a relationship with people that you've been working with for 10 years and you don't want to rock the boat, so they end up at a lower rate. And now you have really two different business models, and those long-term clients become very low profit clients. And that just kind of adds to the resentment over time.
Mm-hmm. It does. And I have a lot of clients that, I really wanted to complete a task for them before I billed them. And so they would go a long period of time with no billing. They always paid my bills, but I was fronting so much of the work that I'm not doing anymore, that even that change, just in the timing of when you're getting paid, makes a big difference. And it feels so much more empowered than chasing money after the fact with an invoice that's 2 pages long with this activity and that. You're justifying everything when really it's more about what you're providing to them. They don't care so much about, how long it took you to do a bank rec or what you needed to do to get their credit card reconciliation done or to run their payroll or, any of those kinds of things. They care that their people got paid. They care that they know how much money's in their bank account. So really everything else is all of the detail I was providing to them isn't what they cared about. And yet I was spending so much time doing it.
Okay, so as you know, I love digging into some numbers, and you talked about chasing money because you were getting paid in arrears, you were invoicing. So how many hours each month do you think you were spending on tracking your time, putting invoices together, sending them up, and then following up on payment?
I mean, I want to say 5. I mean,
okay, that's fine.
That is probably a little bit low because it was a task that I spent every single day doing. But I don't do that anymore. And as a matter of fact, here I am, I bill my clients that they pay on the first of the month. It's automatic. It's just a recurring charge. I had a client call me at the beginning of February and he said, "Oh, Christian, I don't see where your payment came out. Can you take a look? Can you take a look at that?" And he had changed his credit card. And so I didn't have that, but I thought, well done that I've got clients even telling me that they haven't paid me. So I thought that it just made me laugh because the irony of, the billing in arrears for so long.
It's a sign that your clients love you. But I think also, even if it's 5 hours a month that we freed up, it's also the stress, and it took away from something else you could be doing or time spent with your family. So,
well, and you hit on something very important to me. The reason I originally went into this is because I had 2 young boys at home. And so I wanted to be able to be in enough control of my employment that I could volunteer at school, that I could do, PTA, that I could be in all kinds of activities where I could watch what they're doing, be a part of what they're doing. And so in order to, they've grown up, they're now 18 and 20. They probably don't need me any less, but I have discovered that I love tennis and I love all these other things that I've always said, oh, I'm too busy. I'm too busy to do this. My clients have too many needs and I have too much going on. Well, as you know, in the last 6 months, I'm part of a tennis league. I play on Monday mornings. Monday mornings, like the most dreaded morning of an accountant's week. And I still manage to play. So being able to carve time out and not, feel tightness in my chest and anxiety, having to check my phone. Oh, my phone goes on silent. I don't worry about any of that until I'm back off the courts. And, part of me, it sounds a little frivolous at first that I'd even be considering, like, I'm not retired. I'm not, okay, but you know what? If I have a business that can support my business and my lifestyle and those kinds of things, that's the kind of business I want to have.
Mhm.
There's no reason that I need to sacrifice and put off my life. And so that, I think, is truly one of the other blessings that has come from our work together.
Mhm.
Because a year ago, I never would have imagined being able to do this. And so to me, that I can take some time. My son plays tennis tournaments on Fridays right now because it's his tennis season. Well, I get to take my Fridays and I go, sure, I might take my laptop if I am going to have a Zoom or something like that. But I now have the ability to kind of carve out those times that I want to, because I'm not worried about where my next, when's my next invoice going to be paid?
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, that money now is kind of flowing in automatically versus me stopping what I'm doing, finishing a task, and then billing the client. So
Mhm.
that whole shift in how I operate my business has probably been the single most impactful changes
Mhm.
that I've.
Right, because it's not just about the dollars in the bank. It's about having a firm that improves your quality of life instead of taking from it.
Right.
And that's huge because setting boundaries can feel really, really difficult in the beginning.
It can, because
Yeah.
it's just how you and your clients have been used to operating.
Mhm. Okay, so were there any obstacles that you had before making that decision for us to be working closely together?
There were obstacles. I mean, I had to look at the investment I was willing to make,
Mhm.
but I also had to, as we were just talking about, the whole mindset and boundaries, I had a way that I operated, and I had to be willing to get uncomfortable, not only uncomfortable with having conversations with my clients about raising my rates, about really working through a lot of, what clients do I want to keep? I now have a lot more freedom to say, no, client, you're a pain in the butt. I don't really care to work for you anymore.
Mhm.
That's empowering. And then other clients, I've really been able to expand services. So I feel so much more just in control of the
Mhm.
business. I feel like I'm more in control of my business than my business controlling me. But it was being willing to, I had a hard time letting go of that. So that was a big part of it. Setting aside the time to do this. I mean, these are the investment in my time and money and activities to kind of make all of this happen. You have to be very intentional about this. And so that was another part that wasn't an obstacle. It was definitely something that it was a challenge for me.
Mhm. Mhm. And I think that time and money, both commodities, this is not an easy decision, Christian, and I understand it. My feeling is the fact that you were able to really do diligence and be very honest with yourself is something that helped you to realize that this was a good investment. And really the investment was in you, not in me.
Well, but I think another part of it is there is, you've really built a community that supports the work that we're doing.
Mhm.
And so being part of that entire community, I feel like it's an investment in your time, but it's also the infusion that you get, the energy, the ideas, the synergy that you get from being part of this community has only just enhanced or accelerated what it is that we've been able to do. And so that part also, I feel like, has had a great impact on just the support that we feel in this community to keep making these changes, and that,
Mhm.
you know, we're all kind of going through the same thing. And, you know, that part of it is very powerful too.
Thank you. And just for people listening, as far as the community, is that we do have group meetings with everybody who's on the same path, where we're able to really ask questions, fine tune what's going on, talk about some challenges that might be happening, and getting some feedback about how somebody else might have approached that too, and the results that they got, as well as the tech stack and the other things that go with it. So, okay, I want to dive into some of those strategies that you did that helped you to give you back that time to play tennis, as well as getting that time back and growing your bank account.
Okay. Well, I think the very first part of the process just had to do with being honest, being totally honest with where I was with my clients, with where I was with the work. And once I kind of laid all of that out and looked at, you know, what I was getting from what I was giving, was kind of a big first step for me. But the strategies I feel like that we've really put in place is, you know, working on, I mean, even some basic things, working on scripts on, you know, how that initial conversation goes with a potential new client, being intentional about the different meetings that you set. So having, you know, I used to spend a lot of time with new clients. I mean, it might have gone on for an hour, more than an hour, not getting paid. So being very intentional with that first meeting being maybe 15 minutes, getting their commitment to go ahead and pay the retainer or that fee for that first service or that first evaluation, needs to all fit into that 15 minutes. And that's done. So implementing that, I mean, that right there has made me thousands of dollars in the last 6 months.
You know what? I'm going to ask you to go a little bit more into that, because I know that you have coined the phrase of what it is that you do. So can you talk about that consultation and what you're enrolling them into, and how you're now getting paid for something you were doing for free? Because I think that that right there would be a valuable strategy.
Yes. And I am doing a deep dive when I'm now getting clients to buy into me doing a deep dive diagnostic, the 3Ds. And I even say that to them because it kind of makes it funny, it's catchy, but it really means something. So when we're initially talking and, you know, I'm explaining how I work with my clients, and the very first step in our success in working together is me to have a really good understanding of where they are today, and then so that I'll be able to guide them to where they need to go tomorrow. And so when I explain that deep dive diagnostic and kind of walk through, I'm basically doing a little bit of an audit of their books. And, you know, I don't need to come back to them with, you know, a true audit report on what we've done, but they're paying me just to look at the state of their books and give them some feedback and evaluation about what I've found. That right there can be anywhere from $750 to $2,500. Most of my clients are fairly small, but that is all work I used to do for free. And so it's something that, especially as, you know, a pro advisor, a professional in this business for 30 plus years of accounting background, you know, I find easy to do. And so I love to look and dig and analyze. That's valuable. That's really valuable. Not every bookkeeper could do something like that. And so just taking that step back and explaining the process to them, I mean, that's just that it's become a big part of my business and one of my most profitable.
Do you, okay, and I know that we haven't talked about it, but do you want to share how much this new stream of revenue has maybe contributed to your bottom line? And if not, that's okay.
No, and I'm happy to. I will say just from deep dive diagnostics last year, in the last 6 months of the year, because we were only working together that long, got me over $10,000.
Okay.
Just
so you found another 5 figures in your firm from something that you were previously doing for free.
Yes. And so part of me wants to just kick myself for the lost years and lost revenue. But the biggest part of me is just excited that it's something that I'm really good at. I really enjoy. And I get paid really well for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that we can go into a whole other conversation about, but I want to move on. So you talked about that. And now that you're doing this deep dive diagnostic as the first way that you start getting into their books, how does that affect how you now are going to go ahead and quote for those projects also?
Well, one of the perils of the old way of doing business for me was that I would go ahead and quote somebody the amount of time it was going to take me to do something. So really, I mean, looking at that, you've got no incentive to do it quickly. I mean, there's so many backwards things with that methodology, but with this new way, I now am protecting myself. I feel like this is I used to expose myself to so much risk by quoting somebody an amount of time or what I thought it was going to take me to do something, only to then find out that they had 10 bank accounts, 4 credit cards, accounts that closed during the year, all this, AR that was so messed up, AP that the aging said things were, 5 years old. I mean, there were so many things that I would find as I got into the diagnostic portion of what I was doing. But since I'd already quoted that as part of the cleanup work, and being a very proud person who never wanted to, who always wanted to stand by what I had quoted my clients, I found that I was losing a lot of the time, and I lost a lot of revenue that I shouldn't have because I just didn't know. I just wasn't aware going in.
Mm-hmm. About what percentage of the time would you say the project tended to be more complicated than what you initially estimated?
99.9% of the time.
Okay. Just want to make sure that, okay, so almost every single time you did a project with the old way that you were doing something, you were losing money on it.
My
and hoping to make it up later on.
Right. It was always less than I anticipated it would be.
And Christian, I know that one of the toughest things, and it's true for you, it's true for almost every single person I work with, is not just bringing your new clients in at your new rates, but it's going back to the old clients and getting them up to your new rates. And it's something that sometimes takes more time to implement than it does with getting the new people with the new prices. So what's been your experience on how to get your current clients up to new rates and doing that with minimal pushback?
Well, I feel like I kind of cheated a little bit in this because as it was approaching the end of the year with several of my clients, and I haven't done it with all of my clients yet, but there were several clients that I could say, hey, as we approach 2023 or as we approach the new year, I really want to find out, how my services can best support your business. And so that kind of led into the conversation of, okay, here's what I've been doing. Here's what you've achieved because of this. Okay. And so moving into the next year, here's my new engagement letter. Here are my new prices. There were some people that, although they might not have been thrilled that they were going to be paying more, but most of them were like, yeah, I can see that, we haven't increased anything in a while. Yeah, I know. So that part of it was not, that kind of just lent itself to being able to have those conversations. The other thing that I was doing is that there were a lot of kind of ancillary services I was paying for myself. So QuickBooks Online, ADP payroll, those kinds of things, those subscriptions I was wholesaling. And, I know there's a thought process to wholesaling that you can really upsell your clients on it.
Sure.
Well, I've never really done that. So just being able to offload a lot of those kinds of things where I'm said to the client, okay, I'm now sending the billing over to you. This is your responsibility. It's your business. It's your books, those kinds of things. So that part of it, I mean, that's thousands of dollars right there, not thousands a month, but it is over the course of a year, it is thousands of dollars that were kind of hidden expenses. So that was a big part of it too. Just analyzing and getting rid of that kind of stuff was just money in my pocket.
Nice.
And then just being able to just be more of an advisor to my clients and just let them know this is how I'm doing business. I'm doing business differently moving forward. You'll be paying at the beginning of the month, and so just kind of explaining that my whole process was changing, I think took a lot of the kind of responsibility off of me. It's not I'm raising your rates. It's no, my firm is doing this differently now to better serve our clients. And so you make it more of a matter of fact conversation. And I was kind of surprised at how little pushback there was. Of course, maybe I'm not raising my rates high enough, but
we can talk about that on another time.
Yes, exactly. But I'm still working on that.
Would you say that 80, 90, 100% converted of these clients you're talking about, what percentage converted over to your new rates?
I haven't lost any clients yet.
That's amazing. So
there's some I want to lose and can't lose.
and we've already fired some of those headache clients. So this is a process, but the fact that you've had specific conversations or you let certain clients know and every single one of them converted to your new rates is amazing, because the fear is that you're going to end up with no clients. Everybody's going to leave you.
Right. Well, and several of the clients that I am still in the process of converting are those ones that I was doing the random acts of consulting. It's that I've always been available to them. And, just whenever they needed me. Well, that is no way to operate a business. And if they need something urgently, then guess what? There's a charge for that. And so, just explaining to them that, I can make the time for them every month when we have an agreed upon arrangement that, of the services that I am performing. And so that became more attractive to them, because then they knew that they had me for a certain period during the month. And it wasn't just when I could fit them in among my other clients.
And the fact that you were able to have the words to show them the value and the benefits to them, instead of just the fact that you wanted to raise their fees. It wasn't just about the fact that your cost went up or anything like that. It was really about investing in the client relationship.
Yeah. And most of them are that it takes a lot of the kind of contention about raising rates. It takes it off the table.
And then anything else that you feel you've done to fine tune systems, grow income?
Well, there's one big change that I made. I've always operated just myself and then just a little bit of help from interns periodically. But, I've looked at different technology options that could take a lot of the daily, weekly bookkeeping off of my plate. And I've never really thought that I was big enough to delegate a lot of these tasks to someone else. And so I took the step. I'm now using an outsourced, bookkeeping support. And so that right there has freed up a lot of my time, probably, 20 hours a month at least, that allows me to focus on bigger picture or better analysis or some projection type work for my clients versus let me just get this bank rec done. Let me get the transaction that's accepted in QuickBooks. So that's been a big step for me too, is that, I'm the owner of my business. It doesn't mean that I need to be the one that does every part of my business. And so I'm trying to leverage that aspect of it also.
Then what I'm hearing also is that you freed up 20 hours because you now have outsourced some of the lower level tasks. And you also freed up about 5 hours a month from no longer invoicing. And that's almost a half a week, a month that you got back to either work more closely with a client, doing some high level consultancy work, taking on another project that you wouldn't have been able to take on, or possibly picking up another tennis game.
Yes. Yeah. And I just find that I'm just being recommended, so these new clients, new, interesting, good, really, clients that you really want, find their way to you because you've kind of gotten out of the mire of just the day-to-day crap that you have just been stuck in for a long time. And it just having that whole mindset shift, it seems to attract these new, interesting, well-paying clients.
Let's face it, Christian, this whole process is not easy, but I try to make it as easy as it can be. So,
well, you have some definite steps that help the process along. That's for certain.
And there's hand holding to help talk you off the ledge when you're overthinking, getting in the way, worrying about things, which is normal for all of us. So let's talk about some of the hurdles maybe that you had to overcome in order to be able to make these things happen for your firm.
Well, I think the biggest hurdle that I have is just myself. It is, putting off what I didn't want to do, clients that I really enjoy working with, didn't want to raise the rates on. I mean, it was my own mentality that really was holding me back. Those, like just looking in the mirror, that person right there was my biggest challenge. But it's only as I'm able to really be open and honest and discuss kind of where I am and what my fears are about, there are some fears to becoming more successful at what you do. You're used to your own little, especially a person that is so used to working by themselves in their business. You rely on yourself for everything. It's going to get done right. That you can stay up until 3 a.m. if you need to get it done. So there's a lot of those things that you need to let go of in order to reach that next level, to really level up the type of business that you want to have. And to me, those are the aspects. It was the whole mindset shift. It was knowing that I am the expert. I have the expertise to provide these services to my client. These are very valuable services. They're looking at me as an advisor. So it's building those muscles that really helped me to take those steps. But I was, there were times that I got a little tired. I just want to bill them this month. I don't want, I don't want to make that effort. But the rewards that you see, that you see in your bank account, that you see in being able to just go away with your husband and not worry about, clients' needs, not having people text you all the time, getting out of those bad habits that I had created with some of my clients. It has all just been so worthwhile. But my biggest challenges were just myself, my mindset, my just holding myself back. But when you allow yourself to make those changes, that's when you see tangible rewards, in kind of every aspect of what you do.
I think as firm owners, and me included, we're usually the biggest bottleneck to our own success. because it's something that we built from the ground up usually, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of our people. And so I really respect that. But as you know, I also love celebrating milestones. And you now know the value of your work, and you're pricing it more on value, not about time. And do you mind sharing this big milestone that you just crossed?
Well,
it's so worth celebrating. It is really noteworthy.
it is. My business is, I don't know, 15 years old or something like that. I finally crossed the $100,000 revenue mark, and I passed it a lot. What would have been a 90-some thousand year, over a year ago. I now almost hit 160,000, which is, I say it and I have trouble believing it. And yet at the same time, I don't, because I see everything that we've put in place, and I just see the trajectory of kind of where the business is going, just by making these changes. And so being able to grow my business from less than 100,000 to now approaching like 200,000 would not be unattainable for me.
It's very attainable, actually.
It's very attainable, and I have some reminders of where I want to go.
And you're working 25 hours less a month. Let's go there too.
I am, or I'm working with some more fun projects that are definitely making money for me. The things that I want to do. So, but it's a choice. And I get to make that choice. So that's huge. But yeah, that was a big milestone. And that wasn't the milestone I was focused on. I mean, yes, I wanted to make more money. Yes, it's great to write things down and have goals and those kinds of things. But the amount that it increased, it kind of leapfrogged what I was thinking. So that was,
and you didn't add more clients. You still had the same amount of clients. Is that correct?
I probably have I've gotten referred some nice clients, some nice new clients. So I would say that, I don't know, I've taken on a few new clients, but I would say I still have like, maybe it's 10%.
Okay. Well, that is pretty noteworthy. So I appreciate it, because once again, I love hearing the numbers. It just kind of takes something and makes it more tangible. Okay, so then anything else that maybe we haven't touched on that you wanted to mention?
Wow. Well, I'm just going to say that I didn't know that I could get to where I am so quickly from making these adjustments. Once I committed that, I was going to embrace this, I was going to do everything I can to make it happen. I thought I would see incremental increases, but they seem to be more exponential than I anticipated. And so that was something that was not expected for me, and that clients are very willing, especially newer clients, because you just don't have that baggage with them, but they really want, they want to pay you for more solutions. I'm getting away from kind of the selling my daily or weekly, monthly services into really selling more vision with their firms. And that is becoming an increasing part of my business. And that's something I didn't expect either. I didn't expect the ability to be able to do it, the time to be able to do it. And then also, I didn't expect that that's what people were really hungry for.
And that's a significant transformation that you've made, is shifting away solely on the compliance technical side and really position yourself more as that advisor that has solutions that will help them to move forward and achieve their dreams as well.
And people are also more willing to take your suggestions and your advice about, say, tech stacks, or say, I work with clients that do it this way or use these tools. And this is what I expect us to do for us to work together successfully, or you're going to get a PETA fee, because if I have to work on your QuickBooks desktop, it doesn't lend itself to my efficient way of doing things. So that's the other thing, is that you really are able to drive more of the way that your clients are going to do their bookkeeping versus I used to accommodate all of my clients.
The difference between your firm being in charge of you versus you being in charge of your clients and your firm. Okay, Christian. So if somebody wanted to talk to you, reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you?
Probably the best way to get in touch with me would be through email, and it's christian@cmesmallbusinesssolutions.com.
Christian, thank you so much. This is Lauren Fogelman showing accounting professionals how to double their income working half the time.